What is up, party people in the place to be? It is your man, Sean Zittel, once again back at the high-tech, illustrious studios here, headquarters at FightHype.com, the Las Vegas HQ. Back with another live. We got some fights to Z-cap on. We got Tszyu Charlo to look ahead to, but Tszyu Harrison to look back at. Had a great time in the round by round. We had about over 6,000 people here on fight night. And no, Tszyu did what the experts expected. He won by stoppage later in the fight after Tony Harrison was competitive in the first 6 rounds. So it was a good fight. It was good chess match with action throughout. It was a chess match, but not by any means a slow chess match. Fun contrasts and styles. Shout out to Tony Harrison in defeat for having the great energy we like. Going overseas to challenge the best and, giving it his all. And also, shout out to Tony Harrison, who faded in the second half of the fight. 6'1" guy getting down to 154 his whole career. Maybe that has something to do with it a little bit. But shout out to Harrison for, in defeat, having great composure throughout the fight. When the pressure was getting to him and his back was on the ropes almost 3 minutes of every round, he never used excessive movement, and he never started throwing get-off-me punches, although I know people like my man Sean Porter, who were calling that fight, were wishing he would let his right hand go more often when he had his energy in the first half of the fight. But he never threw, nervous get-off-me punches. He didn't use excessive movement that would have made him gas even sooner. And still was a champion in defeat. So shout out to Tony Harrison, who I think could be one of the best trainers in boxing moving forward once he makes that full-on transition and retires from the ring. But the man of the hour, chat, we already got 300 people in the chat. The man of the hour was Tszyu. Very impressive. I even got some people, you know what, hold on, wait, before we continue on, let's go with the official pregame show music. All right, there it is, baby. The official Fight Hype Live pregame music. Well, now it's the Z-cap music as well. It covers all fronts, but anyways, I gotta pause it because we don't want to risk getting in trouble either. But the man of the hour, as we will switch scenes here, is that man right there, Tszyu, landing that right hand up top and it was the right hand up top and the left hand to the body that got it done for Tszyu. And here's a guy, Tszyu, that I at least doubled his chances at actually beating Jermell Charlo. Still the underdog because Charlo's more versatile than he is, more athletic than he is. Still an explosive knockout puncher with real boxing ability. Jermell Charlo, actually, if you had to look up today, who is the quintessential boxer puncher, because that's my favorite style. You got pure boxers, you got aggressive fighters, pressure fighters, punchers, knockout artists, and then you got boxer punchers, which really got its origins from Joe Louis and Sugar Ray Robinson. And the quintessential boxer puncher to me right now is probably Jermell Charlo. Had the quintessential boxer puncher performance against Brian Castano to become the first ever undisputed 154-pound champion in the 4-belt era. And but to me, Jermell Charlo, he's got some smoke on his hands with this young man Tszyu. This would be the fight that's next. Great fight, Tszyu. In this picture, I believe there's an older photo, but he is the interim WBO champion. But Tszyu, going into a January 28th date, that would have been here in Vegas at the Mandalay Bay, would have been too green. He just wouldn't have been ready. I gave him about a 10 to 15% chance of winning that fight. Now, I've doubled it, or even a little more. I think he's more 35, maybe even 40% chance. Charlo's still the favorite, but Tszyu got in some much-needed experience in rounds with the hand speed and the skills of Tony Harrison. He's not going to have he didn't get a taste of the power that Charlo brings, the explosiveness, and also Charlo his nickname is correctfly Iron Man. The guy is hard to hit, never been down as a world champion, never been knocked down in a fight since becoming a world champion. And so his punch resistance, punching power, and explosiveness all on a different level than Tony Harrison. But Tim got some much-needed experience in rounds with that level of hand speed and IQ. So I gave Tim about a 10, maybe a 15% chance of pulling off the upset January 28th at Mandalay Bay. Now I give him about a 30 to 40% chance, doubled, if not more, his chances because of that experience and because Jermell Charlo is 33 years old now. Jermell Charlo's 33. By the time him and Tim fight, if Jermell, true champion, goes right to that fight like he said he would, then it's a 33-year-old coming off a right hand injury, and that is his best. He's not actually, he's a true puncher with both hands. I mean, he left Jason Rosario fidgeting on the ground from a jab to the body with his left hand. He's knocked plenty of guys out with the right hand. And he's got a big left hook, too, that hurt Brian Castano multiple times in their first fight. But coming off more than a year layoff at 33 years old and a right hand injury against a fighter who's got real youth, is really young, enthusiastic, hungry, and strong and intelligent. Intelligent pressure by Tim Tszyu. Tim Tszyu's a tougher challenge, I think, than Brian Castano. He's a little bit bigger than Brian Castano, punches a little harder than Brian Castano, is, I think, a little more measured and intelligent than Brian Castano, although the one thing Castano's got on Tim Tszyu is hand speed. He's got faster hands than Tim Tszyu. But Tim Tszyu got better timing than him, better power than him, and is a stronger 154-pounder. So, this could be a hell of a fight. And one thing about Jermell Charlo is, and I still favor him to win, is he's shown, let me tell you something now. If Jermell Charlo doesn't show up like he did for the Castano rematch and the Harrison rematch, and he shows up more like he has in other fights, like the first Harrison fight, like the first Castano fight, like the Austin Trout fight, even a situation where he won his belt against John Jackson, where he was actually losing that fight before he got the knockout. If Jermell shows up like he has on many an occasion and isn't at 110% like he was for Harrison the second time and Castano the second time, he could find himself in a third rematch because Tszyu will beat him. If he's not firing at 100%, if he takes this kid a little lightly, if he thinks this kid is just tailor-made for him and too slow and comes forward with not enough defense, he could wind up losing to this kid who's about 5 years younger than him at this point, hungry, and strong at the weight. So I still favor Jermell because he's so dynamic, athletic, mean, tough, great boxer, puncher, power and speed and movement, good feet. So Jermell Charlo's one of the best fighters in the world pound for pound. I still favor him, but 33 years old now against 28, more than a year layoff, injured right hand, against a kid who just got better and has momentum heading into the fight. I don't think it's crazy to think Tim Tszyu can pull this off now, whereas January 28th, he had very little chance of pulling it off. A few things have swung in his favor to help equalize the odds a little bit. He got more experience. Charlo's now going to be inactive for over a year by the time they fight, so I won't repeat all the talking points again, but I got it closer to 60-40, 65-35 Charlo now, where it was more like 90-10, 80-20, 85-15 if they would have fought in January. Let me say what's up to some of the people in the chat. I got Dane Sampson in the chat, who's always been supporting us. Never let fear stop you. Team Batman Boxing. What's up, Jackie Hernandez? Base Boxing Basement said, what's wrong with your hair? I don't know. It's just you're either a fan of it or not. Tim Tszyu said, he can beat Charlo. He wings his punches wild, and Tim will catch you clean. Castano is better than Tim, says Yuan. I disagree. I think Castano's Tszyu's better, but Castano did have faster hands. Morgan Baird saying Castano would kill Tim Tszyu. I don't know about that, but if you're skilled enough, 33 is no big deal, says Eric Demira. Yeah, and I think, especially in today's sports, but I think Charlo is at his peak, not just his prime, his peak. But still, he's a guy that has been, not at 1,000,000% here and there at times. Austin Trout, John Jackson, even though he won the belt that night. The first fights around with Harrison and Castano. So if that guy shows up and not the guy who showed up in the rematches, he's going to probably find himself in another rematch situation. So let's take a look at how the odds have moved so far. And they kind of are saying they give him a 28% chance of winning, plus 240. Charlo's at minus 330. Pretty fair odds, about 3-1. I think by fight time it could be Charlo minus 280, 250 at the lowest. And I think that's about right. I think, Tszyu's chances hover around the 30 to 40% mark now. And I actually tweeted this after the fight and got some criticism, including from former world champion, my man Ishe Smith. Shout out Ishe, former IBF junior middleweight champ, only first champion ever to come up from Vegas and win a title. But I said afterwards, call it blasphemous, but dare I say that was a little Julio Cesar Chavez-esque, and key word, guys, a little. The timing, intelligent pressure with the left hook to the body to break it down and finish it off with the right hand up top as the fight progressed, because that's what Chavez would do. Chavez would hurt you with the left hook to the body, and then when it was time to kill the head, he usually killed it with the right hand. The left hook would hurt guys to the body, and he wouldn't knock too many out up top with that. Usually the knockout up top would come from his right hand. And Ishe said, stop it. You must mean Chavez Jr., who, by the way, in his prime, when he was about 50-something to know, he had a little, keyword a little bit of his dad in him, too. Watch the Andy Lee fight. But I said, Ishe, LOL, a little. Name me someone, champ, who fights more like Julio Cesar Chavez today. Similar build and arsenal and style. Remember, brother, a little. He'll never be Chavez. He's not even a world champ yet. But his approach was like Chavez's tonight. And then I also said to Ishe, and Ishe said, I don't like putting greats in the same sentence with unprovens, not even close. And I get what Ishe's saying, but I'm trying to... And I even said, no, he reminds me a little of how Chavez fought, the way Devin reminds me a little of Floyd when he fights. Devin more so, but still in a similar vein. There was one more part. Yeah, see, I got drugged through a little bit for that, but there was another part I replied to Ishe. Here it is. And I said, he had an iron chin tonight. He kept his opponent on the ropes all night long with consistent, intelligent pressure and beat speed with timing. He hurt his man with the left to the body and the right up top. That was Julio's game, man, and it was. And again, he's not Julio Cesar Chavez. He's not going to be the next Julio Cesar Chavez, but it's actually a compliment to Chavez. It's that, you know, his style still lives on through modern day fighters, just like Floyd's. You see a little glimpse of Floyd in more than half of the American fighters. That even when someone like Montana Love fights, and Montana Love, well, looks like he'll never be a world champion, but the shoulder roll, the pull counter with the backhand, walking guys into that pop shot, you know where he studied that from. He studied it from Floyd Mayweather. And Tim Tszyu has told me himself the guys he studied the most were his dad, Julio, and Triple G. All guys with a similar intelligent pressure style. And if Tim pulls this off against Charlo, again, he's still the underdog in my eyes, but I'm far from counting him out now. Pulls it off against Charlo, then, you know, that tweet will age a lot better, but we'll see. Charlo does got that boxer puncher style that I love the most. Harrison was sluggish because he was busting nuts, says Byron Antonio Rodriguez. I'm going to need some confirmation, some fact behind that, my man. I'm not saying you're wrong, but it's funny. That's what Shakur Stevenson told me Deontay Wilder was doing the night before the Fury rematch. He was quote, in too much pussy, was what Shakur's belief was, as I went up the escalators with him at the MGM after Fury won that fight. Brian Antonio said Charlo is killing Tim. He might after all, when it's all said and done. Tim might walk into that buzzsaw of explosiveness, power, speed, and experience and skill now. Jermell is one of the baddest dudes on the planet. But again, some things have tipped the scales to make them a little more even now. And let's see what Jermell had to say after the fight. Shout out to my man Ron Goodall here on FightHype for throwing this together for us. Let's take a look. So here were the quotes from Charlo. I'm ready, you know, when I get my hand right and we get back in the ring for some more training to put them back in. That's work. And by work, he meant easy work. Did you see anything different out of Tim Tszyu? No, this is exactly what we've seen. Come forward, not as fast and as bigger pace, strong. Of course he throws hard punches, don't we all? But I'm a different animal in there. I'm a different fighter than Tony. You can't compare me and try to compare Tony's skills of boxing. He did move less than when he normally does, which makes sense because, he's getting older and the legs are the first thing to go. The ring was smaller, but still he didn't dog it out. He didn't bring that dog in. But if he wanted to fight me, he would have to bring more dog in him. But Tim is next, and that's what we had before the injury. So it's not like I'm not prepared already. And then this was shout out to my man Ron and BT for putting this together. This was actually, I shot this after he beat Castano, and this was funny, the back and forth between the Australian reporter, who held his ground, by the way. But check it out.
하지마. How's it going? Duncan McKenzie-McCarthy here from Fox Sports Australia. Congratulations, amazing achievement. I'm not sure.
JJ asks, when is the fight expected? JJ, I'm hearing from people in the business July, August.
You're aware though, but Tszyu was at the fight tonight watching you. Full respect from me, so just don't shoot the messenger here. But pre-fight, he said expected.
Morgan Braid said, Baird said, Tony don't punch nothing like Charlo. Believe that? No, he does not. But he did give Tim a taste of that hand speed and skills a little bit.
You to win, but also said that you're a little bit soft and that you don't bring the pressure. Can I get your response to that? And what do you make of Tim as a fighter?
Wait, let me read that comment. That you are so. Johnny said last week in the chat, I swear everyone had Harrison. Right. Yeah, even though Tszyu was a significant favorite at the betting odds, boxing fans, a lot of them, especially here in America, were picking Harrison. So.
And would you like to fight him, Jimmy?
Well, I saw him his last fight. He should be quiet. He really did. He didn't really look so. I don't really watch a lot of boxing, but just so happened I did see him, and he didn't look so great. So I mean, there's nothing to answer. He didn't look so great.
And I can't even hear this right now because my audio is tripping, but you guys can hear it. So
he said stylistically.
This is when Jermell had that back and forth with him off.
Hey, it's different heat over here in America, baby. It's different heat in America. How much Tim
EJ was there.
How much they got? How much money they got?
Don't worry, bro. You don't hear. I answered that.
Would you take a fight against Tim?
Fuck you and Tim, because you changed the life. Like, stop asking me questions, dude.
So yeah, Jermell. Well, but hey, in the end, the Aussie reporter was right. That was who was next, and that's the fight we get next. So Charlo Tszyu it is, and that's gonna be a good fight, man. Still got to favor Charlo, but Tszyu actually stands a real chance now, based on what we saw this last Saturday, in my opinion. So, who kept saying that? Brian Antonio Rodriguez said Harrison was busting nuts all week. He had no dog in him. That's where I got to stop you. He did show dog in him. A guy that didn't have dog in him would have gassed out earlier because he would have started throwing get off me punches out of panic and would have started using excessive movement. And Tony never stopped doing that. He kept putting the jab in Tim's face. Hit him with some right hands, but just never could keep him off. And Tim's, maybe it was because Tony weakened as the fight went on, Tim's punch resistance only got stronger. He only got better as the fight progressed. And what I really was impressed about with Tim in this fight was, and actually I'll go back to a picture from an image from the fight. What impressed me about Tim in this fight was he was out-jabbed all night. And this is a credit to his intellect as a fighter. He was out-jabbed all night by the longer, faster jab of Tony Harrison. And then in the round he knocked Tony out, he pelted him with his jab. Power jab, accurate, stepping into it. Not range fight, but really bam, 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 stepping into it, knocking Harrison's head up. And once he hit him with 3 or 4 hard jabs that knocked Harrison's head up, the end was near because then he knew he could fire off and land the power shots and that this faster guy had slowed down. And so that was impressive to me. You'll seldom see a fighter get out-jabbed for 7 or 8 rounds and then still have the IQ and the commitment to use his own jab and out-jab the other guy later in the fight. And that's what got him the knockout eventually, was hitting Tony with the jab that round, left hook to the body, and then he brought the sweeping right hand up top, hit him with it 4 or 5 times, pinned him on the ropes, threw those, Shoryuken uppercuts 4 or 5 times in a row, then the left hook, and that was all she wrote. Tony couldn't recover. And so it should be a great fight between him and Mel. Let me see what else here to go. Oh yeah, we also got some other news to go over. Usyk and Fury. Well, our boys here stateside, Terence and Errol, got a lot of shit. Deservedly so, because people wanted to see that fight so badly for years, and it turns out they may never. Although, there's still, never say never, but we may never. I turn our attention to the Europeans now, as they look like they are about to fuck up their undisputed fight. And on the subject of Europeans not having their undisputed fight, at light heavyweight, that's not going to happen in 2023 either. So, better be Evan Bivol won't happen until 2024, because Canelo, the former pound-for-pound king who brings the big money to the table, he's got dibs on Bivol first, which Canelo is an exception to the rule because he's been an exceptional fighter. That's cool. But, we took Errol and Terence to the woodshed a little bit for not getting the business done. Errol early on, wrong side of the street, grab a belt. Okay, you grabbed a belt. Now I'm gonna, you may have gotten, move the goalpost. Okay, you grabbed the WBO belt, but now I'm gonna fight other fights and clean up my side of the street and unify all the belts before we fight for Undisputed. Then after Errol, played games in the first half, and then Terence holds up the fight at the end of the day once it could be for Undisputed, and he's a free agent, and he walks away from the table. So blame is on both of them, and that's how I see this too, by the way, Usyk and Fury. Usyk's team, and by the way, I believe there is another tweet to support this. Who was it? Maybe it was Steve Kim who wrote, someone, let me see what Aegis Klimas, because Aegis Klimas said, if the fight... Here it was. It was from Aegis Klimas. By the way, we're going to enclose in the contract the 70-30 split is for April 29th. If that fight, Fury-Usyk, moves to a different date, it's not going to be a 70-30 deal. It's going to be 50-50. So, in my opinion, there's just me. That 50-50 deal was the first real hurdle, and that was from Team Usyk. Usyk, to me, does not deserve 50%. He may have 3 belts to Fury's 1, but Fury is the heavyweight champion. Fury is the guy who's conquered America. He beat the former great Ukrainian champion, fellow Ukrainian, Vladimir Klitschko. I mean, that was one of the most boring 12-round decisions, in a big-time, memorable heavyweight fight, in terms of fights you'll actually remember. It was a very dull fight, but Fury won almost every round and ended the decade-long reign of Klitschko before Joshua beat Klitschko. So Fury, to me, he sold out arenas in America, sold out, in England, and he is the lineal. He is the lineal heavyweight champion and the bigger name. And so I don't think Usyk. I do hold Usyk and his manager Alex and Aegis and them. I do hold them accountable. A lot of times, it takes two. It takes two to tango. It takes 2 to fight. And a lot of times it says it takes 2 to fight, but in boxing they say it only takes 1 guy to not fight. But I in my experience in boxing, it kind of takes 2 not to fight too. Not always. Sometimes it is just one guy ducking the other. But a lot of times fights don't come off. It's not just one guy's fault. And I do think that's the case a little bit here. Usyk's team, by asking for 50-50, when in my opinion they deserve 60-40. And then staying on it, staying vehement about it, saying, oh, we still want 50-50 if it doesn't happen April 29th, when it increasingly looks like it's not going to happen April 29th, because April 29th is 6 or 7 weeks away. I mean, the chance to have a 8-week camp with an announcement has gone out the window already. There's a lot of, just like Spence and Crawford, there's a lot of speculation all over this all over again. He said, she said. We don't know how. I've heard rumblings in the business that they had a big fat amount of money on the table in the Middle East, and Fury wanted to negotiate for a larger percentage split. He didn't want 50-50 with Usyk. Felt like he deserved more. I may agree with him there. But if it comes between Fury getting more money and 50-50 and we actually see the fight, what do you think the side I'm on? I'm on side 50-50 and let's see the fight. But I understand Fury. So what happened there was Fury, by wanting more of a percentage, may have fumbled the bag in Saudi Arabia. The Saudis rescinded their offer, or that money, that offer expired, and so now they had to take the fight back to Europe, back to England, where the pot's not as big. And now, Fury is saying, I want 70-30, and Usyk apparently calls his bluff and says, you got it. And now Fury pulls up another roadblock with the rematch clause, which does not look good on Tyson Fury. So kind of like Spence and Crawford, where first, it's different situations though, but just to liken them a little bit. In the beginning, it was Spence saying get a belt, wrong side of the street, things of that nature. And then in the end, it was Crawford walking away from an undisputed negotiation as a free agent. Well, here, at first, it was Usyk's team, in my opinion, asking for 50-50 when they should be prepared to take 45 or 40. And then in the end, after they did that and tried to hold on to 50-50, which helped hold up the fight, now it's Fury, who got the 70-30 he was asking for, apparently, allegedly. And now he's talking about rematch clauses, and now it's just looking like for whatever reason, you don't want to do this fight with Usyk on April 29th. And it's Fury who's got the ugly PR right now. It's Fury getting dragged through the mud. But those 3 wars with Deontay Wilder, especially that third fight, which was the best heavyweight fight alongside Lennox Lewis and Vitaly Klitschko since the year 2000, that holds weight with me. I saw what kind of man you are in that third fight. And so, and I think he would beat Usyk, but he's making it hard to defend him as this last couple of days. I'd have defended him on his 60-40 talk. I felt like, okay, yeah, you probably deserve that. And if Usyk, who always talks about it's not just about money, something's not adding up here. Why would Team Usyk be so vehement about 50-50 when the pot was even bigger in the Middle East, and then turn around and say, sure, we'll take 30% of the smaller pot in England? And for Fury, something's not adding up. Why are you saying, the rematch clause is the holdup when they're saying you're the one who put in the rematch clause? Fucking games, fucking games being played by both sides. My thing, guys, fans, in the chat is don't just dick ride Usyk and blame Fury. These guys both helped this fight not happen, and hopefully it still happens in 2023. But Terence and Arrow got it from the fans a little bit in the last 12 months or so, 6 to 12 months. Now it's Fury and Usyk's turn, and then if once Bivol fights Canelo, if he beats Canelo, then it's time to put the pressure on him and Beterbiev in Top Rank and Matchroom to make that fight. So I'm not like everybody else right now, just dogpiling on Fury. Fury has proven to me what kind of fighter he is in the ring. I don't like the games he's playing right now, but I didn't love Usyk's team being so stringent on 50-50 all along. Not so much Usyk himself, but his team. So they have both contributed to us not getting this fight right now. Let me just check some people in the chat as we keep it going. Joshua versus Klitschko was pretty good too. You're right. Joshua versus Klitschko's got to be that third fight. I got to mention alongside Wilder Fury 3 and Lennox Lewis and Vitaly Klitschko. Thrill TK Hill said Crawford ducked fighting Spence. Gustavo Fontalba, good to see you, my brother. Said it's nice to hear from you once again. Always good to see you. What's up, Sean Morrison? Samuel Davis said stop defending Fury. LOL. What the fuck? That's just me, man. I mean, I'm calling it like I see it. Now, Fury deserves criticism. He's the one, especially now, in the last 2 or 3 days. Just like Crawford began to get the brunt of criticism once he was the one at the latest juncture in negotiations walking away from the table. So at the latest juncture in negotiations, it's Fury. But in the beginning, it's on Usyk's team a little bit, demanding 50-50 when there's 4 belts and you got 3 of them and he's got 1, but Fury's the heavyweight champion and the bigger draw, So Fury should have had 60% up front. Them holding to this 50-50 for so long, and then Fury wanting a bigger percentage. Eventually, the Middle East offer expires, and now they got to deal with a smaller pot, and so. Yeah, it's not a good look for everyone involved, in my opinion. Kind of like Crawford Spence, not really a good look for everyone involved. But that's just how I see it. But Sam says super bias for Fury. Yeah, no, I mean, I do think Fury would beat Usyk, but he's got to get in that ring and do it, and he's not doing that right now. So if you guys want to drag Fury around, that's fine. Just my perspective is don't let Team Usyk off the hook either. They dug their heels in on 50% for a long time, and they're saying it again. They're saying, oh, well, if it doesn't happen April 29th, we want that 50% still. And to me, it's not 50-50. I know he's the gold medalist, the undisputed cruiserweight, and he beat Joshua, but Fury is more worldwide known. He's been able to sell out places in America. Usyk hasn't. And he's been on the scene as the heavyweight champ longer. Going back to Klitschko, I know he had that layoff where he on his own accord, getting addicted to drugs and substances and getting fat, and that's on him. And a lot of people, and I understand if you feel like he's not the lineal champion anymore because of that. I understand that. But I do think he's still the heavyweight champion. I still think he's the guy that you think of when you think who's the man, who is the baddest man in boxing, and it's Tyson Fury. So I feel like, first off, that was on Usyk's team for digging in on 50-50, especially when a guy like Usyk says it's not all about the money. And now in the latter part of negotiations, it's on Fury. So that's just how I see it. But Wayneo 1269 says Spence wants no part of Crawford, nor does Ortiz or Ennis. I don't know, man. You know, you hear Crawford talk, and he doesn't beat down the door to fight those guys either. He was said multiple times on the record, including to me, I don't care if that Spence fight ever happens. You know, he smiled and licked his lips when asked about Virgil Ortiz, but he doesn't knock down his door either. And Jaron Ennis, he's hardly said much at all about him, you know. And I understand what was broken recently about Jaron Ennis and BLK Prime with an offer, giving an offer to Team Ennis and Showtime. I understand all that, but yeah. To me, a guy who really wanted to fight everyone was Oscar De La Hoya. Someone like that. That's the definition. That's the standard. Bernard Hopkins. You know, guys like that. That's the standard. Not, you know. So, so then, yeah, guys, that's about it for what I got today. We've been rocking for about 30 minutes. We got about 500 people in the chat. I'm going to read a little bit more from the chat, and then maybe we'll play a little Undisputed before I get out of here. Maybe we'll play a little Undisputed before we get up out of here. So let me read from the chat a little bit. Spence said he's never fighting Thurman. Well, it turns out he probably is. Fury is an annoyance. I get it. A lot of people get annoyed from him, but he gave us that third Wilder fight, man. Those two left it. Him and Wilder are always good in my book. They gave us one of those vintage fights like it was the 1970s. That's got to count for something. Do you think Charlo should or would take a tune-up before Tszyu? I kind of feel like he should just to be safe, but I don't think he is. I don't think he is. He's talking like they're going to get straight to that fight, and Showtime's been making big fights right now. It seems like that's what they're interested in. They're not interested in the tune-ups right now, so I think he's set to face Tszyu here in America next, and his inactivity coming off an injury, 33 years old, Tszyu getting those rounds in with Harrison, it gives Tszyu a chance now to actually win that fight. I still favor Jermell Charlo, but it gives him a chance. And Jermell Charlo, by the way, is an ATG at 154. ATG at 154. He is an all-time great super welterweight, being the only undisputed champ in the four-belt era at super welter. He's in the top 10 with guys like Trinidad, Hearns, De La Hoya, Mayweather, a lot of Terry Norris. There's been a lot of great 154-pounders, and I think he's in the top 10. You know, maybe towards the bottom, but he's there. Eric Demia said Spence has options to fight anybody: Fundora, Castaño, Thurman, Ortiz, Tim Tszyu. He's the money guy. Yeah, but when you look at how Showtime announced their schedule for this Tszyu-Harrison fight, they announced that Thurman and Spence would be returning one after the other. They didn't say they'd be fighting each other, but that leads you to think they're probably going to be fighting each other. Who knows? Maybe they share a card. I don't know. But we'll see. Both guys will have been out of the ring a long time by the time they fight, if that is the fight that's next. Adrian Doan says, any idea when Undisputed, the video game, is coming out for consoles? Do I play with Porter? I play plenty with Sean. I've won some fights with Sean. I could play with Sean on the stream today if you guys want. But I don't know when it's coming out for console. But I would think by this time next year. Winky Wright versus Charlo says Ashley Schaefer, Kia. Who would you pick? I would pick Winky Wright. And Winky is right there. Hold on, wait. Let me move the fan so you guys can see the Winky Wright. I'd pick Winky Wright. I'd pick that man right there. I'll pick him. Right there. I'll pick him. Winky Wright, despite his great hand speed and jab, once he really reached his stride, was actually a good pressure fighter if you watch the Jermaine Taylor fight. And then had that great defense to catch shots coming forward. Very active guy, too. Threw a lot of punches, very active and accurate behind the jab. One of the best southpaw jabs I've ever seen. A fast guy, too. Fast hands. The best high guard I've ever seen, Winky Wright. So Jermell still, more explosive than Winky, a little stronger and bigger and punches harder than Winky Wright, but Winky at his peak was number 2 pound for pound in 2005, 2006, around that time. So I'd give the edge to Winky Wright. Sean, Tim Tszyu is getting washed by Charlo, says Sean Morrison. He might, but I think that's a competitive fight. I still pick Charlo, but I think that's a competitive fight. Should Charlo win, I think it'd be, in the ballpark as competitive as the first fight was Castaño, which some people thought Castaño won, and but we'll see. Charlo might knock him out. It might not go to the cards, but still, I really don't count out Tim Tszyu. I think that's one of the best fights now. That's going to be a great fight should it happen July or August, like I'm hearing. Oh wow, we got a super chat to get to. $10 from Australia. Let me find this super chat. Good commentary, bro. You are fair and even-handed. Thank you, Wayne Neo. Oh, good. It's Wayne. Thank you, Wayne. I appreciate that, brother. And funny enough, some people felt I was giving Harrison too much credit because I had it even after 6 rounds. And you got to understand, I can't just score on body language alone. It was obvious by the 3rd round when Tszyu hurt Harrison with an overhand right, where he caught Harrison's lead left hook and then came over the top with a nice timing on the counters by Tim Tszyu. It was obvious that Harrison was breaking down by that point in the fight, but he was still scoring effectively with his jab and at times outscoring Tim Tszyu. So I still have to give him that battle, even though I know the war is being lost. So I had it 3-3. I had it 77-75 by the stoppage. Tim Tszyu up 5 rounds to 3. And then ultimately, that's what all 3 judges in Australia had it, 77-75. And a lot of people in the chat were saying, and after the fight on Twitter were saying, that's nuts if you gave Harrison more than 1 or 2 rounds. Well, it turns out all 3 of the judges and myself thought the same exact scorecard. And that's something to keep in mind, guys, for future round-by-rounds. Just because it starts to become clear one guy's winning the war doesn't mean the other guy who's losing the war isn't winning little battles, i.e. rounds, in the midst of that. It happens. And you can't score on body language alone. Just because the other guy is puffing up and he's fading and the other guy's stalking him and strong and undeterred, if he's eating a jab while coming forward strong and undeterred and he's still not landing all his power shots, then he lost the round, even though the other guy's wilting and breaking down. And that's what I saw happening with with Tszyu and Harrison a little bit. Thank God for that water. I think that was my last one, too. Uh-oh. Was it? I thought I had 2. Anyway. Prime Paul Williams at 154 was also a nightmare for everyone, says Ashley Schaefer. You are so right. And I was tempted to say his name when I was mentioning this guy at 154, and this guy, Tommy Hearns, and Felix Trinidad, and Oscar, and Floyd, and Terry Norris, and Winky Wright, and Jermell, and definitely Paul Williams doesn't have the resume at 154, but could have been one of the greats at 154, was an incredible welterweight in that Antonio Margarito fight. El Mazarate Hancho says, Team Sebastian Fundora, the juggernaut want Charlo. Charlo is food. And I do think Fundora, he's a problem. Jermell and Tim, this isn't really what they're saying. I'm having fun. But they're almost saying, fuck that 6'6" guy. We'll fight each other before either one of us fights him. That freak of nature. And Fundora is the definition of a fan-friendly fighter. His fights, he can't be in a boring fight. It's impossible with his style. Totally gives up his height, but hasn't mattered to this point because he gets this incredible leverage on his uppercuts with that height on the inside. And, man, he is fun to watch, the Towering Inferno. And he might be a tougher challenge than Tim Tszyu based on size alone. Tim Tszyu, I think, is a better skilled fighter than Sebastian Fundora. I think he's sharper, a little smarter, but 6'6" is 6'6". So Fundora is underrated smarts, underrated skills, and then is just so damn big. So I like Fundora. He's a beast. He's a beast. Who knows? He might get a fight with Errol Spence in the future because if Spence is going to go to 54 and can't get back down to 47, then, you know, what's there at 54? Charlo, what's Derek James going to do? Sprint 30 seconds in one corner and sprint 30 seconds to the other corner for that fight? Unless Tim Tszyu beats Charlo, and then Errol can fight him. But otherwise, the best fight at 54 for Errol, I guess, would be a Fundora fight. And so maybe we see Errol and Fundora eventually. Jeremiah, what's up, Jeremiah? What's up, Dane? Who is the best amateur fighter I've ever seen? Asked Dane Sampson. Oof. That's a good question. James DeGale was pretty good, winning the gold medal. James DeGale threw 3 rounds. If you only had to go 3 rounds with him, good luck. James DeGale was pretty good. Guillermo Rigondeaux was a great amateur too in the 2000 Olympics in Sydney. All the guys on the 1984 team, you know, like Purnell and Mark Breland, that whole 84 team. But those are some of the names that come to mind when you ask. You know, Teofilo Stevenson in Cuba. Jeremiah, though, said, where should Tony go from here? Tony should be a full-time trainer. He already works with a lot of the young kids in Detroit, and he's opened up his own gym and community center. And he suffered the highs and the lows in boxing as a prize fighter. He's been the highs. He beat Charlo for the WBC. He suffered the lows, going overseas and having to get knocked out. So he has a wealth of experience and knowledge that given to him from Emmanuel and his dad, the late Ali Salam, and all those great Detroit area trainers and sparring. And so he has a lot of wisdom and experience to hand down to young people to keep boxing in America strong. That's what I think is best. And I'm almost being a little selfish here because I understand the lifeblood of this sport in America goes as the American fighters go. So I want Tony to help make sure that some of the young guys coming up are going to be good. So I would love to see Tony be a great trainer. Marvelous Irv. Good to see Marvelous. Good to see Team Batman boxing. Team Batman said other than the Cubans. Well, I couldn't help it. You knew they were going to come up. 76 Olympics was great too. Yep, that's the when Sugar Ray got his gold medal in that 76 Olympics. Meldrick Taylor was an incredible gold medalist amateur. Incredible. Meldrick Taylor was incredible. But back to Marvelous. Frank Martin, tough fight for anybody, including Devin Haney, Tank Davis, Shakur Stevenson, period. Strong, southpaw, smart, skilled. His only weakness is he started as a teenager, and those guys started as boys. But other than that, he's got a little bit of a grown man physicality, strength to him in his body that Shakur and Devin don't quite have yet. He's older than them. He's 28, and those guys are in their mid-20s, 24 or so. But he's fast, he's sharp, he's strong, he's skilled. Frank Martin is a problem is a problem on anyone's hands. Anybody's got their hands full at lightweight with Frank Martin. Hagler didn't go to the amateurs. He was. Dame says, do I think Tim can drop Charlo and vice versa? I definitely think Charlo can drop and knock out Tim. We know Charlo can drop Tim. Terrell Goucher dropped Tim. Although Tim showed, his chin looked good against Tony Harrison, although Tony doesn't crack as hard with his right hand as Goucher does, even though he's a better fighter overall than Goucher. But I know that Charlo can knock Tszyu out. Charlo can knock out anybody that weighs 154 pounds. On the other side, Tszyu would have to... The only way he could stop Charlo is by killing him to the body with that left hook repeatedly, breaking him down, and attrition, stopping him. Charlo would have to weaken late in the fight from the body attack, maybe be on the ropes and get stopped, but I don't see him sending Charlo to the canvas for a 10 count the way Charlo could potentially do to Tszyu with his explosiveness and Tim's come-forward style that'll get him hit. But I could see the only way I see Charlo getting stopped is by attrition, getting stopped on the ropes, on his feet. Charlo, he's got that nickname Iron Man now, and it fits. He is Iron Man, both in power and in ability to take power, to take a punch. He's a strong, tough guy. So if anyone wins by stoppage in that fight, I think it'd be Charlo. I think Tim with his pressure, if he can keep Charlo, if he can do what Brian Castano did in that first fight with Charlo, make Charlo fight in spurts, be the more consistent fighter 3 minutes of every round, pin Charlo on the ropes repeatedly, he could beat him. But I still got to favor Charlo. B says, Sean, you know Tim had loaded gloves. I don't know that. I don't believe that. Based on it, I don't believe that's the case. I don't know where you got that from, my man. Sorry, I'm out here searching for another water. We got almost 500 in the chat now. So, Johnny says, you have Benavidez? Actually, Johnny, I see David Benavidez tomorrow. I go to Seattle to go see my man David. I'm actually going to go live probably from the airport once I wrap up with David and I'm set to be at the airport and come back home to Vegas. I'll go live with you guys and tell you how I thought David looked. I saw Caleb last week here in Vegas. I got to see, we got the videos up on the site. I got to see him train. So now I'll get a chance to see David train, and I'll do a little compare and contrast and tell you guys what I think. Right now, I favor David Benavidez to win the fight by late stoppage, but I don't know. Maybe I go and see David. Maybe he looks slow and sluggish. Maybe he says some things that raise my antennas, that give me some bandera rojas. Maybe he gives me some red flags in camp. But otherwise, I got Benavidez. His hand speed isn't getting talked about enough, and he actually, everyone's talking about how flat-footed he is. He actually can punch and move at the same time. That's why he got dropped by Ronald Gavril in that first fight. Everyone talks about that knockdown. If you go back and look at the knockdown, David's moving forward as he punches. His feet aren't stuck in cement. And because he's moving forward while throwing the punch, he walks into the left hand and got dropped. But the point is, he can move forward and punch. And the belief is that he can only, although against Anthony Durrell, back in 2019, he did make David look pedestrian in the center of the ring when he wasn't on the ropes. So that's the cause for concern. But David showed to me in a few different fights he can punch while moving his feet forward, which is going to be so important against Caleb. So I think Caleb will get off to a good start, but David's really a light heavyweight making super middleweight these days. He's really a 175 boiling down to 68, and I still think he'll get away with it to where it won't make him weak. It'll make him more of a weight bully. This ain't like Ryan and Tank. There's no rehydration clause. And I think his package of being the bigger, stronger, harder puncher and having fast hands to go along with it, it'll eventually be too much for Plant, who I expect to perform well early in that fight. But I got Benavidez, although we got to see. Maybe I see some Bandera Rojas, in Seattle tomorrow. Dane Sampson, do I think Frank Martin can beat Shakur? I would favor Shakur, but Frank Martin could beat any lightweight. He's a tough fight for any lightweight. I would still give the edge to Stevenson. But I mean, I don't know. Martin has a physicality. I think he's a better puncher than Stevenson. He's stronger than Stevenson right now. But Stevenson, skills pay the bills, and he's so smart. And he is growing into his grown man strength now himself and settling in well. I would still favor Stevenson and his pedigree. But Frank Martin's a tough fight for any lightweight in the world. Jeremiah says, fantasy fight, Tszyu versus Castano. Tszyu, I think it's two similar fighters, but Tszyu's a little bigger, a little bit better timing, better puncher. But Castano has faster hands than Tim Tszyu. But timing beats speed, and I think Tszyu's timing would be plenty to catch up with the quicker hands of Castano. And he's the bigger guy, bigger puncher. I'd favor Tszyu in that fight. Let's see. So, but yeah, man, I think it's time we play a little Undisputed. Let me boot up the game, and we'll close with some Undisputed like we usually do. Pat Lee said Frank Martin is trash. I totally disagree on that. The homie Ricky says, does Isaac Dogbe beat Robesi Ramirez? No, I don't think so. And I like Isaac, and I love Barry Hunter. I love me some Barry Hunter, his trainer. But no, the homie Ricky. At plus 425, I think Dogby can dog Robesi. I got Robesi in that fight. I mean, at plus 425, it's not a bad bet at all. I got Robesi, though. I think it's a waste of money. I think Ramirez is going to pick him apart. I got Ramirez in that fight. And Dogbe is a little guy coming up from 122. No, I like Dogbe. Don't get me wrong. I like Isaac Dogbe, but I do. He's explosive. I love him on the inside, although he's a little inconsistent. He doesn't. His offense will come and go some rounds. I don't think he's beating Ramirez. I think Ramirez is the best featherweight, even though he lost his first pro fight. I think Salas and him have turned the corner. He's throwing that left hand like a big boy with professional intentions. He's shaking some of those amateur habits after winning the gold medal. And I think Robezi's turning the corner right now in the pros. Let me see. Yahoo! What's up, Yahoo? Good to see you, brother. Ashley Schaefer said, Sean, did you watch Paulo Acoso? Dude is super talented and fast at 175. I agree, very talented, although 25 years old. Not 21, not 22, so you'd expect him to be as polished as he looked. I think he's very talented at light heavyweight, definitely a legit prospect. Talent isn't a concern from what I was watching. What was a concern was the mental lapses. He dropped Yuneski Gonzalez in the 6th round, and then in the last 3 or 4 rounds, he's showboating, he's clowning, he's turning his back to him, looking at the crowd, and playing with his food instead of being a pro and finishing the job. I didn't like that from Acoso. He accosted too much, but I do like his talent at 4-0 at light heavyweight. I do like his talent, and you know those Samoans, those guys of Samoan descent from the New Zealand, Australia, you know. Those guys, those Aussies and New Zealanders from Samoa, like David Tua back in the day, Joe Parker, they're coming on because Jai Opataya at cruiserweight, winning the cruiserweight title, the IBF and the ring belt, he's a problem who's only going to get better as a young fighter who's a champion now. And now Paulo Acoso. So shout out to the guys of Samoan descent on the rise who are fighting out of Australia, New Zealand. They're shout out to them. They're back on the rise. We all remember David Tua, and now they're back on the rise. So, Polynesian. There you go, fire in my bones. Yeah, help me be correct here with it. Dane Sampson says, who do you favor between Tank and Shakur? I give the edge to Shakur, I guess, because he's little, but I think Tank's a better talent than Shakur. I think Tank's blessed with a lot of the speed and coordination, and he could pull off a lot of the same moves Shakur does. But he's not as consistent, and he's a better puncher than Shakur. I think Tank's a more gifted fighter than Shakur. But I think Shakur is so disciplined, so smart, and so consistent, and so fundamentally sound, and unlike Tank, uses his jab, that he could probably win a decision. But Tank might knock him out at the same time, because Tank is physically stronger than him, he's a better puncher than him, and he can equal his speed. If not be even a touch more explosive in spots, but I just think the way Tank doesn't throw a lot of punches, he'll throw 20 to 30 punches around. He'll let too much of the fight get away from him by Shakur, and Shakur will be too defensively alert to let him knock him out later in the fight. But that doesn't mean Tank, that'd be a great fight. Brent Boyer says Diego Pacheco looked great this weekend. I'm happy you brought him up. Good stuff in the chat, Brent. Do I think he can make waves at 168? I do think he can make waves. I like his offense a lot. I do see him as a fighter still trying to discover himself and his style. Part of him wants to be that Mexican that throws the hook to the body and engages. The other part of him wants to use his attributes to their best. He's 6'4", and use your length to the best. And don't bang unless you have to on the inside. Unless the other guy works his way through on the outside, steps through all those punches and those landmines and gets in your chest and makes you fight on the inside. Otherwise, dictate from the outside. I like his him. I like his offense a lot. One thing I worry about with Diego is defensively and how's he going to take a punch. He is one of these tall, slender guys, and so, like Tommy Hearns back in the day, Ray Vargas right now, who's been dropped, and some of those guys get to that chin, and it could be a problem. So I do worry about that for Pacheco, but I love his offense and the way it's coming along right now. I love that he's a great kid, and we'll see. But I do think, and Jose Benavidez Sr. is doing a great job with him right now. But I do think at some point he'll want to use his height to his full advantage, and not let his temperament, being a tough Chicano kid from South Central LA, get the better of him and make him bang when he doesn't need to. But I like Pacheco. So let's see here. Let's play a little Undisputed to wrap up, huh? Let's do it like that. Boom, boom. Undisputed, where you at? There it is. All right, chat. Let me grab a quick water, and you know what? First, let me. Here, I'll get into a fight first. We're gonna rock some Muhammad Ali today. We're gonna do some Muhammad Ali. We haven't played much. Andrade versus Pacheco. Pacheco's still green. I wouldn't make that fight for Pacheco just yet. He needs a little more seasoning. Not saying he couldn't win it though. I don't think Andrade's nearly as dangerous. I don't think he's nearly as dangerous at 68 as he was at 54 or 60. Yahoo said he got Inoue, said millions of times. Right, Yahoo's right. You still my guy too, Yahoo. Yeah, I got Inoue against Fulton. I just think I think Fulton's going to have these great moments of boxing where he's outboxing him, he's touching him up, he's walking him into shots like he's never been walked into for 2 minutes out of the round, and then Inoue gets him on the ropes, hits him with a big shot, Fulton's legs do a funny dance, and now that round, all that great work he just did got away from him. And I see Inoue doing that in a couple of rounds to swing the cards in his favor in a really competitive fight. But I do see him at home coming out on top of that one. Do I think Ramirez can beat Figueroa and Vargas? Robesi Ramirez beat Figueroa. Figueroa is a tough fight for Robesi. I think he definitely beats Vargas. Figueroa is a tougher fight because Figueroa's relentlessness will suffocate him at points in the fight. That's a tough fight. Figueroa is a tougher fight. He definitely beats Vargas. All right, I'm gonna just run and get a water, and I'm gonna play with this Ali. Let these ring. I'll be right back, chat.
There's nothing quite like a fight at the Empire Fight Camp. I'm Todd Grisham, and watching this live with me is Johnny Nelson.
It's going to be unbelievable. The fans, everybody around the world, the fighters. This is just one of those things.
Time for our tale of the tape. Muhammad Ali, the greatest of all time. He stands 6'3" tall with a 78-inch reach. And his opponent, Muhammad Ali. He is the greatest of all time. He is the greatest, Muhammad Ali, fighting out of Louisville, Kentucky. Float like a butterfly and sting like a bee.
They have waited for this fight for so long, Todd. This is ridiculous.
Conventional wisdom on
Let's
this
go,
fight,
chat.
Johnny. Let's see how it plays out.
Smoke break? What? No, never. I would never do that. I want to step out. Crazy.
This bout is
talk.
scheduled for 12
What was this
rounds
record,
of
chat? I didn't
boxing.
get to,
In
what's
the
this
red
man's record
corner,
that I'm fighting?
Here is the Olympic gold medalist and legend
Chat,
of
what's his
boxing,
record?
The
I
only three-time
was stepping
lineal
out,
heavyweight champion
getting a
of the
little water
world.
when that went
He
down.
floats
What's
like
his
a
record,
butterfly
chat?
and
Help me out here.
stings like a bee. The one and only,
I don't even know what I'm facing.
Greatest, Muhammad Ali. Hiding out
Come on,
of the
chat.
blue corner.
I need you.
Here is the Olympic gold medalist.
Who am I
and
facing,
legend of
chat?
boxing,
What's record?
The only three-time lineal heavyweight champion of the
Taylor
world.
or Lopez
He
asked
floats
me.
like a
I'm
butterfly
gonna
and
go on a
bee.
little bit of a limb
The
here in
one
favor of
and only,
Lopez.
the
I think
greatest,
Taylor may be a tall guy, but he doesn't always use his height.
Ali.
He likes to get in there and
How will
bang.
these two fighters
And
handle the
if he
outdoors?
tries to
We're
fight
fighting under the
Lopez
sun
the way he
here
fought
for this
Pro
big
Grace,
showdown.
Not many fights.
32 and 23. Oh, cool. Thank you, Thesis GQ.
You got the fresh air.
Thank you, brother, for coming in the clutch. I think Teal's going to be allowed to be the counterpuncher in this fight, unlike Sandor Martin, where he's not very good on the front foot, but he's pretty good being counterpuncher. I am Black Trunks Ali. And if Josh Taylor obliges him by letting him be the counterpuncher, I think Teal could win that fight. So, all right, chat. You guys know what it is. It takes me a second because in these lives, you know, we got people watching, so it takes me a second to lock in. Oh, look at him, Ali shuffling on me. He'll pay for that.
I don't think it's going to be a
counter hook. Oh, why am I hurt? Why am I hurt? What chat? What just happened? Did you guys see that? I got hurt and he didn't throw a punch. What just happened, chat? Some people they download some cheats on this, and I've never lost on a stream. So this would suck if I lose because of a fucking glitch guy. But you just saw, chat, the man hurt me without throwing a punch. So, alright, let me lock in here, folks. Down in the first. For the first time ever on a FightHype stream, I'm down. Let me steady myself here. He might have some funny little cheats on. Because he hurt me without throwing a punch. And I'm hitting him with everything. That's alright. We'll beat him even with his cheats. Even with the little glitch happening early in the fight. We got it. I've never lost on a stream. I'm not going to start now. See? Boom. Look at him. Touching him up. We're going to counterpunch the shit out of him. We're going to counterpunch the shit out of him, chat.
He parries away that left hook. It looks like he's going to survive the round here, but just barely.
Yeah, see, he got some cheat shit on. The man hurt me and dropped me without landing a punch, and I countered him 17 times flush and didn't get nothing. Yeah, y'all see the glitch.
In that round, huh, Johnny?
I know those rounds, and you know what? We'll get excited. We want it straight away, but these fighters know what plan.
What's up, Castro Solo? Good to see you, man. I ain't seen you in the chat for a minute, man. Is Tszyu in the game, JJ? No, not yet. Not yet. I'm gonna put his ass in the dirt, B. Errol Spence voice.
For round two.
Put his ass in the dirt! Oh, motherfucker. Let's go. I don't got a good Texas. I don't got a good Texas Errol Spence. Things like that.
He gets out of the way of that left
Let's
hand.
go. Look at that. Look at them counter hooks. Another counter hook. Does he get hurt? Nope.
They call it the glory division. There's nothing quite like a heavyweight fight. It doesn't take much to win it.
Guys that carry so much power,
that.
of course they're going to look for that knockout because it makes a night a little bit shorter. You don't get paid any extra for overtime.
Trying to check him with the hook. There it is. Boop. Timed it up.
Just gets out of the way of that left hand.
I can't believe he got that bullshit in round one, though. Not awful. We won't let him get away.
Nice exchanges from both men in this round.
How many times do I gotta counter him with a hook before he gets buzzed though, chat? You guys seeing this? Straight right hand counter. I'm just gonna keep countering him until I finally hurt him.
Solid punch.
Couple body shots. But I feel like he's got a cheat in. And if he hits me just a few times, I'm going to be hurt for some reason.
Fighter
so I'm
has
very
determined that they can walk through any punches that
That's why I'm not
opponent
sticking in
throws,
there to
and
exchange.
that's
I'm just getting
very
my counter and
spot to be.
keeping it pushing.
I've seen some fighters with a granite chin. You can hit them with a sledgehammer. They are not going to
When the
lose.
game's in early
I've seen
access, they
some
don't
mad
have an
punches
anti-cheat
with a
yet
chin
on
like
PC.
this.
Because the game's only on PC, for those of you that don't know right now.
Close round with 10
And so
seconds to go.
there's no anti-cheat. So some people could download certain hacks and play with them and get away with it because the game's not fully out yet. And they don't have an anti-cheat yet. So
This fight could not be any closer, could it, Johnny?
That was super tight. I dread being a judge.
We're killing them, chat, but dang, yeah, I know. Tszyu, I would have played with Tszyu, JJ, if he was in. Put your hands up, fam, says Quentin. But I'm fighting with Ali, man. This is what Ali does. It's what Ali does. We rely on the feet to get out of range, and whap!
First one to get clipped.
Whoop, there it is. I'm a little off, stepping out a little too far for those counters. Oh, a little far out. Come on. Just a little bit off with the hook to start the third.
Neither man really defending themselves.
Oh, ooh. That was ugly for me.
When someone punches that hard, you don't want to trade shots.
I'm gonna walk him into a jab. Time to
You
counter.
can tell he's
Time to get off.
stronger,
Here we go.
but he's not faster. We both know who the bigger power puncher is. There's a significant power difference. How would you handle that?
It's the one who draws first blood, Todd. That's what you've got to look at.
Got me with a nice straight right hand. He's having a good round. He's having a good round.
You've got to be on it, but you've got to be confident.
Some nice exchanges from both men in this
Charlo's
round.
will step on Timmy. Says 12 blood rounds. He might. He's still the favorite, but Tim's got a shot now. That layoff.
Got out of the way of that right hook.
He's tightening it. Oh, there we go. Go to his body. Oh, see, how'd he hurt me with a jab, man? Look, chat. He didn't even hit me, chat. Chat, he didn't even hit me, and I went down on a body shot without getting hit. This man has got the bullshit. We are playing against a man with PEDs, guys. We're playing against a man with PEDs. You see it. This is awful. This is awful, chat. We're playing against a guy that hacked the game.
Unwilling to engage in that round. A bit surprised.
He's scoring knockdowns without landing punches, chat, and he's walking through a bunch of counters.
Back at it in round 4.
I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do.
Caught him with that power punch.
I can't get hit. I mean, I still might not get hit. I might get knocked out anyways.
We've seen in the past from this fighter, they don't get concerned when they lose some of the earlier rounds because they know they've got that power that can strike at any moment.
That power might be the do or die. That power might be the equalizer.
Seen in the past from this fighter, they don't get concerned when they lose
try to pull it out still
rounds
somehow
because they know they've got that power that can strike at any moment. Nice exchanges from both men in this round. He takes that jab. This fighter has determined that they can walk through any punches that their opponent throws, and that's a very confident spot to be in.
Todd, you know what? Sometimes when I've done in the ring with fights like that, and you punch them, you just want to run. You want that spaceship to come and lift you out there because you think, what the hell?
Still trying to counter him, y'all. Oh, good straight right hand by him.
Despite what the judges' scorecards read, there are no losers in this one.
Counter hook. I mean, we're still countering them, guys, but
this fight is closer
this is
than
tough.
2 pages in a book, Johnny.
Performance PEMs, performance enhancing mods. Exactly, Real Talk Live Sports. Yeah, he ate a lot of eggs. Yep. Time for a rope-a-dope. We'll try, guys. We got him. We got him. I mean, I wouldn't say we got him, but we can still pull it out, even with his bullshit. I got to fight perfect.
Watch that jab. Both of these men showing exceptional chins, by the way.
Ooh, he set up. Oh, wow. Oh, he's getting off. He got off with a nasty combo there. They got
endurance is becoming a factor. You can see this fighter having a hard time getting out of the way of the punches, and they're not throwing as many on their own.
What can they change? They can change their attitude. They can change their nervous system.
There we go. Rip that body a little bit.
Per round. Because otherwise, if they deviate from the game plan, they're going to be shattered once again, and the fight will be over.
Shots from both these fighters. Got to be careful, though. You just missed with that left jab.
Come on.
that jab. Nice exchange here from both men.
There we go. In the right hand, another one. Jab. Hook off
This fighter has tested their opponent's power and apparently isn't impressed as they continue to walk through all these power shots. This round's still up for grabs with just 10 seconds to
getting those
go.
counters in. I think we won that round. Man, this dude without the hacks would be getting his ass whooped.
Who's winning this fight right now? I have no idea.
It's too hard to split. Do you listen to
12 brutal rounds says you must have forgot that Fury cheated in the Klitschko fight with doping. No credit deserved. Didn't Klitschko have some doping stuff around him too, though? But I mean, I'd have to look that up once more.
He's going to be the first one to get caught.
But no, I mean, yeah, Fury did that, and then yeah, I mean, even him going bald. That's from
He didn't take that jab
HGH steroid use. I mean, who knows, man? It's professional sports. Brutal 12 rounds. You can share the link, though, to that stuff about Fury and Klitschko if you want in the chat. I do recall something like that. Gotta look back
Through the
at
hook, didn't land.
Look at this guy trying to spam these little ugly combos. He's gonna get countered. Gonna get knocked out despite his hacks, despite his PEMs, performance enhancing mods. Counter hook again. Come on,
no
Ali, you
doubt
gotta
that
win
this
this.
fighter's power can change the fight around in an instant. You can't afford to make one single minor mistake.
Create some distance.
You've got to be courageous when you get in there with someone that's bigger, stronger, and faster. You've just got to use brain.
Can they figure out the
Come on, one of
combinations
these
through
counters
this
just got hurt him. Come on.
Failing to score with that right hook.
Got him, finally.
He would get rattled like this.
Come on. Come on.
And that's exactly
Couldn't finish
where
him.
he doesn't need to be.
Hurt him, let's go.
Get out of trouble.
Got him. Let's go, chat.
It's down on the canvas.
Let's go, chat.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
He's up. Let's go, chat.
So the round winding down now, and it's been another good one for him.
We might pull this off.
Fighters promised us great action.
We might pull this off.
Give it to
Jamal
us in that
Wilkins
round.
says, Sean, when do you expect your next trip to Dallas? Jamal, I'll be going to the Virgil Ortiz Stanionis fight in Arlington. So catch me out there, man. Say what's up. Seeing your name, I'm reminded of the guy with the small forward with his jersey retired for the Lakers, Jamal Wilkes. Who I'm not that familiar with his game, but he apparently was a really good scorer. But let's get this, guys. We're about to pull this off.
And there's the bell for round 7.
This is stressful. We got the lead on the card now, but I can't get dropped again. Getting hit with 2 hooks, 3 hooks. Okay. Come on, Ali. He's trying to crowd me, spam something. He's gonna walk into a counter.
He blocks the hook.
Oh, he's on my ass. And I would exchange, but I just don't trust the glitchiness that my guy's going to get hurt with something immediately, based on him knocking me down twice with no punches.
When you know your opponent is relying on that so heavily, how do you
So I can't even stay there and exchange. Like, I feel like I got to land and get out every time.
Forget tactics. They know the second they touch you, it's done. That's where the confidence comes from.
These two are the perfect dance partners. And he caught him there with a right hook.
He's winning this round so far. Being relentless. He's shooting off all his stamina. I still got all mine. I think so, unless it's a glitch.
He caught him there with a left hook.
This is a bad round.
There's no way this fighter can go punch for punch. They're resisting. You know the scorecards are going to be all over the place in this one.
You fucked me up that round.
This one could go.
Fucked me up that round. I won't forget the body.
So there you
Oh wait, he quit. Yes.
now, and that is
No
not the way
Mashanko.
anyone wanted this
Let's
fight
go.
to end.
No
F him and his hacks. We pulled that one out, chat. Oh man, we pulled that one out. He quit because he shot off his last.
Forward to fight number 2.
Woo! We held on, chat. Him and his hacks couldn't get it done. We had the lead on the cards. We were outland. Oh, how are they saying he was outlanding me? That's ridiculous. Counters were 62 to 10. So I counterpunched him 62 to 10. No Mashanko strikes again. And he couldn't get that. Even with his hacks, he couldn't get that. To the winner's cam. Oh, that was tough. To the winner's cam. We get it done. That was excellent boxing against the cheater, says Jiffy999. Thank you, brother. Q Crockett, this is the undisputed early access. So this is on PC only right now. But Simon Peterson says, I think Charlo knows exactly who Tszyu is now. Yeah, that should be a great fight now. I think it's more, 65-35, 60-40, Charlo's favor, whereas before it was like 85-15. But I think Tszyu stands a real chance now between Charlo's year-plus inactivity heading into that fight. He's 33, still in his peak, in his prime, looking great. Great boxer, puncher, but still the favorite. But Tszyu only getting better, young and hungry at 28, and so that's going to be a very good fight. Castro says, was that your hardest fight ever so far? Hardest one on the live stream because of the cheats the guy had in, obviously. But still got the dub. Still undefeated on these FightHype live streams. I'll catch everybody later. Hope you rewind earlier if you want to get to the real boxing talk earlier. But thanks, everybody, and everyone have a great rest of the Monday. I'll be in Seattle tomorrow for David Benavidez, and then I'll be checking in with you guys, live after I see David train and see how he looks, and I'll assess everything going forward. So thanks, everyone, and have a great Monday.